Welcome to my first standalone initial thoughts video. And if you want to know what this series is, if you watched any of my gameplay footage, at the end, I have this saying, when the credits roll, it's my time to go. And what I do is right after I beat a game, I go ahead and tell you what I thought about the game off the top of my head, straight from memory. So it's pretty much like a review without all the work. Because of this, I may forget some things, I may miss some things, but you are totally welcome in the comments down below to let me know if I missed on some things or I got something wrong. And depending on what it is, there's a chance I may feature your comment in a future video. Because I am not above being wrong. Now, will I do a review one day? Maybe. But as of now, you're just going to go ahead and just get my thoughts on how I feel about the game. Now, for the first initial thoughts video, it was supposed to be Gundam Breaker 4. My bad, that's on me. Haven't got that done yet. But what I am going to do is give you my thoughts and how I feel about SD Gundam G Generation Eternal. Now, I was planning on doing this video at the first week of launch, but I decided to hold back because I at least want to get through the first event and get to the first banner. So I had a better gauge of what this game was and what it may be like in the future. Now, moving forward, I'm just going to call this game SD Gundam because I'm not about to keep saying that long title. Now, to tell you about this game, and this is the last time I'm going to say this title in full, SD Gundam G Generation Eternal is a free-to-play strategy game. I like to call it a tactics game that was released on mobile platforms April 16, 2025. So I'm just going to stop and say this, that if you're not into gacha mechanics, then I'll just like to thank you for checking out this video. I definitely appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on your way out, and hopefully you check out the other videos that are on this channel. Now, for those who don't care about those mechanics or just want to hear my thoughts, which thank you by the way, then I'm going to go ahead and get more in depth at this point. So, how this game starts is you get introduced to a guide. Now, I don't know what she's called, I don't know her name, so I'm just going to call her a guide for now. But she basically takes you through a tutorial of the game, explains to you the mechanics, and also takes you through the first stage so you kind of understand how the game works. If you're looking for a real in-depth story, it's not really here. It's more like a retelling of stories from other series. So, like the first stage, it's based on the Gundam series. Well, my fault. It's not based on. It comes from the Gundam series in a very cut down, shortened version. I will say it just gives you the highlights. So, at launch, there's about 10 series that are available. The first 5 is Zeta Gundam, Gundam Seed, Gundam Wing, and Gundam Double Zeta. And Gundam. I forgot to say Gundam. And these first 5 stages takes you through the complete series from beginning to end in a shortened, cut-up version of these Gundam series. Now, I just want to point this out, and I could be wrong, and if I am, leave in the comments down below because I could be misremembering some things. I'm going to be honest with you. But I think they actually made some changes to the actual story from the anime. Now again, I could be wrong, but going through it, some of the things that happen in this game, I don't remember happening in the actual anime. This does depend on the stage. It's not every series that you go through, but I did take note of it. This isn't a knock to the game. I guess it's more of a question because I'm just trying to make sure I'm not tripping. With the other 5 series, you have Gundam X, Iron-Blooded Orphans, G Gundam, Gundam 00, and Witch from Mercury. Now with these stages, you only get the first half of the story or the first season of the story. So what this means is that there's probably going to be additional stages added on to these series in the future. These stories are presented through a slideshow, and I wouldn't have an issue with this, but I played UC Engaged. And this is where one of my biggest complaints is the story presentation. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because this is not about UC Engaged, but because I played UC Engaged first, that game gave me the wrong expectation for this one, so I was highly disappointed on the way they presented the story. The one thing I love about that game is the way they do their story presentation. It's really good, and they did a really great job at that. And coming to this game definitely was underwhelming, and I really gotta knock it for that. Because sadly, it comes off, at least at launch, lazy, a rush job, and that they didn't really care that much about the presentation of this game. And now that I'm editing, I realize that they did do it, they just didn't put it throughout the entire game. So now let me go ahead and get into the gameplay. If you ever played Fire Emblem, XCOM 2, or any of the Final Fantasy Tactics game, you'll probably like this game. I know they promote this game as a strategy game, but I see this game more as a tactics game, or I think the right term is a turn-based tactics game. So the way this game works is you take 2 teams of 5 with 2 supporters for each team for additional boosts and abilities for each team into a grid-based battle system, and you take turns, you usually going first, to beat the stage or complete a certain task on said stage. So basically, you go first, then the computer goes first. Now, I do want to say this. You know how I brought up UC Engage and I said my issue was with the presentation? Well, this flips when we talk about gameplay. Gundam SD is far superior when it comes to gameplay than UC Engaged. And honestly, it's the gameplay why I rarely play UC Engaged, just to be honest. So to kind of touch on the way you build your team, there are 3 kinds of suits in the game. First are your attackers, which their jobs is to go in and basically do damage. They're all about damage. Second are your supporters. I tend to use these suits like rangers because they don't have the attack power of an attacker, but they also add an additional attack to your other units if they're close enough. Lastly are your defenders, which are your tanks. They take all the damage and they also take damage for other units. Then there are your pilots, which are categorized exactly the same as the suits, as attackers, supporters, and defenders. And your characters or pilots can be way more important than the suit itself in ways. One thing I do recommend is that you pair with the same suit attribute. So for example, it's good to pair a defender character with a defender suit, so you get the best stats and the best abilities and effects. Now, I'm not going to go into much detail about this, but I do recommend you go check out a guide, particularly when it comes to low rarity characters, on how to pair them with different suits. Lastly are your supporters, where they're just basically captains that's paired with ships. And all they do is give you different abilities and power-ups. But be aware, these stats and abilities only apply to the team that they're equipped with. So remember how I said there are 2 teams of 5? Well, the supporters are equipped to each team. So you can only equip 2 supporters at a time, and only one team or the other team gets those bonus effects and additional skills. My one issue here though, in my personal opinion, the UR should give you 2 abilities, not 1. But that's just my feelings about it. Now, be aware these power-ups can be series specific. So what do I mean by that? So I pulled in my game the Archangel, and this ship only gives bonus status effects to mobile suits from the Gundam Seed series only. And that's like that with any supporter you equip to a team. Now, the stat boosts are different for every team, so I recommend you pay attention to that when building your teams. The other thing you have to pay attention to is your terrain compatibility, because certain suits can only be used on certain stages. So, for example, my account, as soon as they start adding C stages, my account is pretty much dead. And that's only because I have no units that are built to fight on the C levels, and none of my units can be deployed at C. So when that comes, I'm pretty much stuck until I get some more or build units that could be used at C. Also, when it comes to series, this also applies to stages too. For example, when you play through the wing stage, the first team can only be wingsuits. The second team can be other suits, but the first team must only be wingsuits. And when you get to the end game, it gets worse because certain stages you can only use suits from that said series. So right now on my account, there are stages that I cannot complete at the end game, specifically because I do not have enough suits built for that series. Now, that's pretty much gameplay at launch. So now let's go back to the home screen and check out the other modes that pertains with this game. And I'm going to try to go through this as quick as possible, at least at some points. So the home screen, it's actually pretty good. It's not the best home screen I've seen, and I do get turned around from time to time, but it's pretty easy to navigate, so I would say the home screen is pretty good. The shop is where you buy things. The one thing that needs to be added to the shop is a way to buy additional AP, because the way AP works in this game is it's hard for me to explain. I can't put it into words, but it feels a kind of little like you get a lot, but it's not enough, and you go through it too fast, and it gets kind of wonky. It's hard to explain. Maybe somebody in the comments can put it, or I should say can better phrase it. But yeah, I just think adding AP to the shop so you can buy additional AP will definitely help the game out. The other thing is this shop does not do a good job at letting you know where to find all this additional currency that you need. Now, it might have said it in the tutorial, but it would just be nice just to hold down on a currency and know where to find said currency. Upgrade is where you can upgrade your suits, characters, and supporters. And also you could do formations. And let me stop with formations real quick. The one thing I don't like about formation is how it's presented and where it's at. Because sometimes, again, where I say I get turned around, sometimes because it's so small and it's in the right corner that I don't even notice formations. And when trying to look for it, I just think it could be better placed. So for example, why not put formations underneath unit, characters, and supporters? Like if you put it on there with the button, it's noticeable, you'll hit it, and you know where it's at and where it's at. I just hate where it's located at. I just wish they would change it, or I should say move it someplace better than where it's at. One more thing with formations is I wish they did it more like Fate, where you could just hit a button and just drag your units where you need them to be. And don't get me wrong, this isn't bad, but I just think it could be done better and more streamlined. So let me talk about the entire auto system, starting with formations since we're at formations. The one thing I hate about auto formations is that sometimes when you do that, it tends to rearrange your suits and characters in weird ways. So it's better to do it manual. And the one thing I wish that they would add is more like a guidance system for the auto. So for example, when I'm building a team and I just need to put a quick team together, I wish I could just go into formation, auto formation, and then I could, it has like a drop down system that says, Do you want wing suits or only seed suits? Just a guidance, so it better helps guide the auto feature a lot better. Also, it doesn't make sense when you do an auto team, it doesn't put the characters with their standard suit. It like rearranges. Like, it's just not that good. Including when it comes to gameplay. I'm just going to let you know right now, unless you're overpowered on the stage you're at, the worst thing that you can do is let the auto take over, because the main reasons why I never 3-star a stage is because of auto. Because auto is not that good unless you're overpowered. Now, if you're overpowered, it's fine. But if you're not, the auto system is randomly going to get a unit killed that it doesn't make sense for it to be killed. So that's another thing I recommend you pay attention to. So the main point is, when it comes to formation, just go manual. But when it goes to auto battle, when you are way overpowered, then the stage. Outside of that, just go straight manual. Getting back to upgrading, the upgrade sucks. Like, it really does. I don't know why they don't have a slider system, because it would make things better. For example, like War of the Visions, because if you use the auto level up, sometimes it will use resources that you don't want to use. So it sometimes will default to using your highest rarity leveling resource instead of going to the silver or bronze, which is what I rather use. And the other issue is when you do it manually, it could get really annoying because you got to basically tap to just level it up. And even the subtraction, because it's so small, you can accidentally hit the add resource instead of subtracting resource. Like, it's just the entire leveling system it's just really bad and really inconvenient. I think if they went to a sliding system, kind of like Final Fantasy War of the Visions, it would be a lot better. And then also change the auto leveling with using the lower resources first before it uses your gold resources. So yeah, the leveling on this game and the way it works, it sucks and it makes it take too long and it's really inconvenient. That is the one thing I really hate in this game. Well, one of the few things I hate in this game. Oh, one more thing I forgot to add. In the character section, you can also hire additional characters to pair with different suits, which I really like that, and it's great for free-to-play players. The only issue is that as of launch, you can only hire SR pilots. There's no SSR pilots available. I'm okay with it not being UR, but I just wish they would add some SSR characters to the hiring pool. Now, be aware, to unlock additional characters to hire, you have to actually play through the main game. As you beat the main game and you progress through the stages, it will unlock additional characters that you can hire. One of my favorite aspects of this game, and one of my favorite parts, is the develop system. I love this system. It's great for free-to-play players to get suits that you may actually want. Now, you may not get it in the highest rarity, for example, the Freedom, but you can at least get a low rarity version of said suit. Not every suit, but of certain suits you can. Now, I do love this system, but there's a couple of things to be aware of. First, whatever you do, don't just go into this section and just start developing units. And that's only because some of these units you can actually get when playing throughout the game. So if you just go out and develop every suit that you can, you're just wasting resources. So make sure to be patient and don't just, unless it's your favorite suit, don't just go crazy developing suits, because some of these suits you can get for free to develop, and well, I should say upgrade those suits into better suits, or maybe suits that you may want or like better. Secondly, there are a couple of SSR suits that you can unlock to upgrade to a UR and even further than that without having to limit break. Now, from my understanding, these are the only units for now that you can get that you can upgrade to a UR, because pretty much any other SSRs in the game, you can't do that. Only with the specific ones that you could get out the developed system. But whatever you do, do not upgrade the weapons, because I just found this out. So let's say you upgraded the weapons when those suits were SSRs and you upgrade those specific suits to URs. Well, those weapons upgrades do not carry over. So I would recommend do not upgrade the weapons until you get to the final upgrade. Now, the one thing I want to add is that I hope that some of these suits that are SSRs that you can unlock through the developed system, I hope in the future that they will be re-released in a banner as URs, because there's a couple of mobile suits in here that I would love to be URs. Okay, I'm going to come back to stage and go to base, and there's a couple of things that you could do here. So base, first you could find ships dropping off different materials like upgrading materials and AP to help you progress through the game. Second, you have character missions, which if you complete those, you can get various different items. And lastly, they have a mobile suit display area where you can display your favorite suits. Now, the one thing I hope is that they add a lot more suits, but that's pretty much the base. I also want to go back to the home screen and just say one of my issues with the home screen is that you can customize your home screen, but one, is very limited, so I hope they expand that. And two, it's kind of hard to navigate. Like, there's not really any direction to tell you what is what and what you can do. Update. Now, it may be in the tutorial, and yes, there's not really a guide to tell you how to customize your home screen, but once you figure it out, it's really easy, it's really simple. Just take time to figure it out, and it's not that bad. Stage is where the main game is at. This is where everything happens. The main stage, which I already went over earlier, but this is where the main storyline happens. One thing I do want to add though is the skip function is the best part of this game. Honestly, the main thing that you want to do always is get to the hardest stage, beat it once, so then you can skip through it and get all the resources that you need. Next is the upgrade stages, which doesn't cost any AP, and I highly recommend you do these daily. The only issue, you can only enter it 5 times a day. Next is the internal road, which is the end game of this game. And going back to the SSRs that could become UR in the development system, if you're wondering where that currency at, is here in Eternal Road. So if you want to upgrade those SSR to URs and then further, you have to beat Eternal Road. That's where you get all the currency to upgrade those specific units. My fault, suits. Now that we're at events, the first thing I want to say is make sure to do the training and complete it. If you're new to the game, do the training. The reason being, that event comes with diamonds and you're going to need to summon. So make sure to do the training and complete it. Now, the whole entire reason why I held off doing this event was specifically waiting for the next event and the first new banner to come out so I could see, or I should say, have a good gauge on what we can expect in the future. Now, the first event, which as recording of this video is pretty much over, was just to beat the boss. Pretty easy, straightforward event. It was okay for the first event, and you did get a pretty good SSR. Now, there's not much else I could say about this event because it's already over, but like I said, it was a cool event for the first event. Now, for the second event that is going on right now, came also with a new exclusive Gundam Seed story, and for the first banner, we have a limited summon. This first event is based around the Gundam Astray storyline, which is a side story to Gundam Seed, and I actually did enjoy this event. This event is basically a roulette gacha event. So basically what you do is You play through the main story, and from there you get currency to go fight the boss. Once you beat the boss, you get medals, and then you have to spend for rewards. So my recommendation for this event is that you want to beat the hardest mode so you can just skip through everything and just go directly to the roulette. Also, there's a secret boss that comes out at chance, which you can see it on the screen right here. It's pretty good. It gives you 75 medals, but it's not really worth it in my opinion. But I will say it's cool to do it once, especially if you have enough currency to do the secret boss battle. If it pops up, I would say do it at that point. Other than that, just beat the hardest mode and just use the skip and you'll be just fine. And once again, shout out to the skip function of this game because it's really good. Now, once again, I gotta say that when it comes to the story, it once again was a letdown comparing it to UC Engage. But I love the fact that it was a side story and we got something different than the mainline story, so that makes me excited. And I actually do own this series in the manga form, which I haven't read it in years. But overall, this was a great event. Oh, let me also say this. There are 2 SSR units that are available. Now, I only maxed out the Ashtray Blue, which is really good. I've actually used this, actually a really good Gundam. I haven't used the gold one, so I don't know how good that one is. But if you want to fully limit break both these suits, you have to at least reset the roulette event at least 5 times at the most. And the rest of it is found in the exclusive event diagram. If you do those 2 things, you will get both suits with the ability to limit break them both. For this second event, which I consider it the first official event, is actually really good. Quick correction, when I was talking about the story, I was talking about story presentation, not the story itself. As for the new Seed stage that was added to the main stages, it is Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Recollection, which is an exclusive story that connects Seed to Seed Destiny. Let me start off by saying the story, it's kind of whatever, and I did expect a little bit more, but for the presentation, this is what I wanted to see. This is what I was talking about. This is how, well, maybe not exactly like this, but this is how I wanted the stories to be presented. This is how I wanted to play through the game. With the animated cutscenes, I freaking love this. Even though, yes, the story was kind of whatever story. It wasn't bad, just was kind of a whatever story. But the presentation, that's what makes this one a winner to me. And I hope they do a lot more like this one. This addition gives me hope for this game's future, at least when it comes to story presentation. I'm just strictly talking about story presentation, but this gives me hope for the future. This is what I wanted to see. Also with this stage, you can also develop a new exclusive Strike Gundam, which I've only used it once and can't really say if it's good or not because I need to level it up. But yes, this to me gives me hope for the presentation, for the future of the presentation of this game. And the fact that this was an exclusive storyline, brand new, I really love this. And I hope they have more like this one. Next, I want to talk about the menu. And my one knock against the menu is that you get codes to get exclusive items. And I hate because it's just convenient for me that you can't use your Google account to link your account. So that's the only thing I really don't like. Because now I have to make another account so I can link my game. But other than that, I don't spend much time here. But this is where you can see your settings, your gallery, all kinds of stuff. I don't spend much time here, but I just want you to be aware that it's here. This is also where you can reset your account and reroll, which again, I don't know how to do it. I didn't reroll my account because in my personal opinion, I started off amazing. But basically, this is where you can access all your game information and settings and everything. So check it out if you want to. Now, I saved the most important part for last, as the main reason why I play games like this, and that is the unit assembly, which is basically the actual gacha system. And just so you know, at the end of this video, you will be seeing my last couple of summoning sessions, so stay tuned for that at the end. Now, the summoning currency are diamonds, and you use diamonds to summon for different units, suits, and characters in 5 different rarities, which starts at N, Rs, SRs, SSRs, and URs. The one thing I love about these banners is that the characters are not summoned by themselves. Every character that you summon off the banners comes with a suit, and I love that. But supporters are summoned by themselves, and those, particularly the URs, are a lot harder to get. Now, I may do a video on this later, but one of the main ways how I choose to keep playing a game or dropping it is how fair the gacha feels. I usually don't read the rates, I just kind of go by feel and how I feel about this gacha system and the summoning rates. It actually feels good. I feel like as long as I work hard enough in the game, I have a chance to get 1 copy of the banner suit. Now, limit breaking may be an issue. If you just want 1 copy, that should perfectly work out just fine. I am in the first week of May when I'm recording this video. So, this could change because the rate of getting diamonds may slow down. But as of right now, it definitely feels fair as long as you play through the game. Just a suggestion, unless it's your favorite unit and you saved up enough, because I am a free-to-play player, this account is totally free to play, I highly recommend you do not summon to Limit Break until you find out the next banner. That's just my recommendation. Personally, I wouldn't do it at all unless I really love the suit, but I would not recommend summoning to Limit Break as a free-to-play player. Oh, one more knock I gotta say is that the one thing I don't like about these units is some of these units have attack animations and they're not full screen. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I kind of gotta knock that one. That doesn't make any sense to me. So now, before I finish this video out, first I want to leave you with some tips on how to progress, which I've already done a video like this, but now that I played a lot more of the game, there's some things I gotta change. Now, I'm definitely going to leave some things out of that last video, so I recommend you go check out that video. But I will leave some tips in this one too, because I do gotta fix a couple of things that I've said. First thing I'm correcting from that last video is SSRs are actually really good, but you had to level them up. Yes, there is still a gap between how good URs and SSRs are, but the gap is not as big as what I thought. I just, at that time, did not level my SSRs up far enough to realize how good that they were. Now, of course, no 2 SSRs are the same, which I think I said earlier in this video, but SSRs can be good. Next thing, when you start the game, make sure you get at least 1 UR attacker, because that suit is going to be the main one that gets you through the majority of this game. Third, I will say make sure to focus on leveling up your URs. Focus on them. Of course, kind of spread it out, but you really want to get your URs leveled up as fast as possible, particularly the attacker, because again, they're going to get you through the game. Now, it depends on the stage, but for most stages, make sure to never lose more than 2 units a stage. Some stages you can only get away with 1, but from my experience, you cannot lose more than 2 if you would like to 3-star a stage. Third, when going through the main stages, you don't have to focus on both parties. You only gotta focus on one main party and build that party, because that will get you through the stages, but make sure your other party, get them out the way, because you're going to need them to live. Buff and debuffs are not really important until you get to the harder stages and the end game. But for the most part, buff and debuffs have not mattered to me until I started playing the end game content. The big thing you want to do is level up your characters and your units. And just know, your characters can be far more important than your units. From my own experience, the characters have made a complete difference than the units that upgrade. So make sure to focus on your characters and get them leveled up. If you're having a hard time progressing through the game, which I already brought it up, it's probably going to be for 1 to 3 reasons. 1, you're building way too many units. 2, which was the issue with my SSRs, you are not leveling up your characters. You don't have enough units built up. Because no matter how good your main attacker is, you still need your other units to survive. The last big advice for you is when you start the game, the magic number is 3, but you really only need 2 URs, and you really should only try to pull for 2 URs to get through the game. And make sure one of those is an attacker. I went through the game with 2 URs, the Exia and the Freedom, and those 2 got me through the majority of the game. Oh, if you do pull the Freedom, make sure your Freedom is always up front, because depending on the stage, the Freedom has an AoE attack and it can instantly take out. I wanted to say at the most I got was either 5 or 6 at one time. Also, abuse the skip system, because the skipping in this game, which I said earlier, is amazing. Oh yeah, don't focus on building your teams, like the teams that you're going to take to get through the end game, until you get to the end game. And also, go through the end game at your own pace. Don't try to rush through it, because you won't have enough resources. So just do it at your own pace. Don't try to rush through it. Oh, I highly recommend you do not buy parts in the shop, because you could get parts from doing character missions in the base. So I would say do that to get your parts. Don't go through the shop. So I think that's all the tips that I have for you right now. These are all my tips as a free-to-play player, and this is based on my current account. So other people may have other tips and other opinions, so I recommend you check out other videos and other channels, but these are my tips as a free-to-play player using my account. I'm going to go ahead and throw my pros and cons on the screen right here, and then give you a quick summary, and then we're going to be out of here. But you know what? I'll go down that list just in case people are just listening to this video. So you know what? I'll start off with the cons. First con is how the AP is distributed. I think it could be done in a better way. There's not enough exclusive or side story content in the main game. The fact that you can use your Google account to link the game, not really a big fan of that. Well, it's just a convenience factor, so that might be exclusive to me. One of my biggest issues, story presentation. Go check out UC Engage to see my expectations. The UR supporters should have 2 abilities, not 1. Just a personal preference. Better guidance or a warning label when upgrading the weapons on the SSR suits that can be upgraded to URs. Letting people know that your weapons upgrades don't carry over. The special attacks aren't full screen. The auto feature across the board has issues. And the upgrades need sliders. And there's not a stage that lets you use your best suits outright. Pretty much all stages have some form of series exclusivity. So those are my cons. Here are my pros. First, it's a fun game. It's a really fun game. I enjoy playing this. And that's the most important thing. Second, it's free to play friendly. Third, the skip function in this game is amazing. I love the skip function. The next one, which is ANOC, But it is also a positive, and that is that they do have an auto battle system, but should only be used for weaker stages. The game is not that complex. The game, particularly at the end game, has some pretty good challenges. There's a lot of mobile suits already in the game day one, but I recommend you find a guide to help you to know how to match characters with units. Very good gacha system as long as you're not trying to limit break. The events are good. The ability to get spooked by a UR, love that feature. I love when any gacha has that feature. Including the characters with the suits when summoning and not having them in a standalone banner, love that. The lower higher rarity suits are not useless and are actually pretty good if you build them. The development system, I love it. It is amazing. It's one of my favorite aspects of this game. I love the fact that you can hire additional pilots, although I wish they would add SSRs to it. And even though I complained a little bit about this, I do like the fact that you can play through the main stories from the anime so you have an idea of what it's about. So now, with that being said, my rating for this game is, there is not one because this is an initial thoughts video. So there is no rating for this one. But what I will tell you is that this game by itself is actually really good and I will not be dropping it. Even though I have my complaints with the story presentation, the reason why I don't play UC Engage as much as this one is because of the gameplay, and the gameplay of this game is far superior to UC Engage, and I feel like gameplay is way more important than presentation. Well, that could be a gray area, but mainly gameplay is more important than presentation. But this is a gray area statement. So I know I'm being pretty harsh on the story presentation with this one, but the thing is that you already did it in one game successfully. Then you bring those elements to this game, so I know you can do it, but you decide to limit how far you take it. And it's annoying because this was so close to being the perfect, at least for me, the perfect mobile Gundam game that I always wanted, and you just missed it just due to the story presentation. And hopefully through updates, you can actually do that going forward. And the thing is, you prove that you can. But beyond that, at the end of the day, this game is fun and I have fun playing it. And that's the most important thing, is having fun and enjoying it. And because of that, you got me. This game is going to continue to be in my rotation because I have fun playing it. And that's the most important thing. Now, that's all I have for you. Now let's go ahead and check out my summoning sessions.
これならいけるか。 これならいけるか。お願い、当たって。
Question for y'all. Do you like my Gundam shorts? Because honestly, I love making them. But there's a problem. If you're looking on screen right there, that is my display case. And that little area is all the room I have left to store my Gundam kits. So, once that space gets filled, I will no longer be able to do any more Gundam shorts. But there is a way to save them, and you have that power. And it's very simple. All you gotta do is go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help me save Gundam shorts on this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, help grow this channel, and help us build one of the strongest communities on the internet today. And if you own Gundam Breaker 4 and you want a chance to be featured on this channel, why don't you go ahead and submit your build using the link down below for a chance to get your build featured in a future video on this channel.